Today we're going to be looking at how to divide whole numbers by negative fractions. To show this, we have a couple of examples that we're going to work through together here, so let's get started. For question number 1, we're being asked to divide 4 by negative 3/7. And just like when we're dividing positive fractions, we're going to solve this division problem by multiplying by the reciprocal of the second fraction. But before we can do this, we need to rewrite our whole number as a fraction. And anytime that you're looking to write a whole number as a fraction, you're going to write a fraction where the value of the numerator is the value of the whole number, and then the denominator is going to have a value of 1. So now we're ready to work through the division steps, which we can see up top highlighted in yellow. And the first step is to keep, change, and flip. So the first fraction we're going to keep the same, but we're going to change this division symbol to a multiplication symbol, and then we're going to flip the second fraction to its reciprocal. So instead of having negative 3/7, we're going to have negative 7/3. And now we're ready to move on to the next step where we're going to multiply across. And as we can see here, we have both a positive and a negative values in our numerators. So just like when we're multiplying integers, as we can see up top highlighted in blue, when we're multiplying integers that have different signs, our answer is going to be a negative product. And when we multiply integers that have the same signs, our answer is going to be a positive product. So since we have two different signs here, our answer is going to be a negative. So when we multiply 4 times negative 7, we get negative 28. And now we're ready to multiply our denominators. Well, when we multiply 1 times 3, we get 3 for the improper fraction of negative 28/3. Now we're going to move on to the last step where we're going to simplify this improper fraction by converting it into a mixed number. And to make this a little easier, we're going to imagine that our negative 28 is actually a positive 28. And then we're going to think to ourselves, how many equal groups of 3 can we make out of 28? Well, we know that we can make 9 equal groups of 3 out of 28, and that's going to leave us with 1 left over. So that 1 is going to be our numerator, and our denominator's value hasn't changed, it's still in thirds, but we need to make sure that we include our negative sign here, because originally the numerator was a negative. So we're going to put this negative sign right in front of the 9 here to show that this is negative 9 and 1/3. And since there's no common factor between both 1 and 3 other than 1, we're done. We've already written this mixed number in its lowest possible terms. So when we divide 4 by negative 3/7, we get the mixed number of negative 9 and 1/3 when written in its lowest possible terms. Now moving on to question number 2, where this time we're being asked to divide negative 6 by negative 4/5. So the first step is we're going to rewrite this negative 6 as a fraction. So we're going to write a fraction where the value of our numerator is negative 6 and our denominator has a value of 1. And now we're going to work through the division steps, so we're going to keep, change, and flip. So we're going to keep the first fraction the same, we're going to change the division symbol to a multiplication symbol, and then we're going to flip our second fraction to its reciprocal. So instead of having negative 4/5, we're now going to have negative 5/4. And now we're ready to start multiplying across. But this time when multiplying our numerators, we can see that we have two negatives. And since we have two of the same signs, our answer is going to be a positive product. So when we multiply negative 6 times negative 5, we get 30. Now we're going to multiply our denominators. Well, when we multiply 1 times 4, we get 4 for the improper fraction of 30/4. Now we're going to move on to the last step where we're going to simplify this improper fraction by converting it into a mixed number. And to do this, we're going to think, how many equal groups of 4 can we make out of 30? Well, we know that we can make 7 equal groups of 4 out of 30, and that's going to leave us with 2 left over. And our denominator hasn't changed, it's still in fourths, giving us 7 and 2/4. But we can simplify this mixed number even further, because both 4 and 2 are multiples of 2, so we're going to divide both our denominator and our numerator by 2 in order to simplify this mixed number even further. So our 7 here hasn't changed, it still has a value of 7, but our denominator, when we divide 4 by 2, we're left with 2, and then for our numerator, when we divide 2 by 2, we're left with 1. And since there's no common factor between both 1 and 2 other than 1, we're done for the mixed number of 7 and 1/2. So when we divide -6 by -4/5, we get the mixed number of 7 and 1/2 when written in its lowest possible terms. So hopefully by now you understand how to divide a whole number by a negative fraction. Help make math less complicated by smashing those like and subscribe buttons. As always, enjoy today's math journey.